The other day, an amendment was introduced to the House of Reps labeled Sex Discrimination Amendment, Sex-Based Rights. It's very short, only 6 pages long, and was clearly written by a true intellectual genius. The bill introduces definitions for the words man, woman, sexual orientation, and a few others. I'll go through them. Man means a member of the male sex irrespective of age. Woman means a member of the female sex irrespective of age. Sex means the classification of a person as either male or female based on the organization of the body for a specific reproductive role as indicated by a person's sex hormones, ordinarily XX for female, XY for male, naturally occurring sex hormones, gonads, and unambiguous internal and external genitalia present at birth without regard to a person's physiological, social, chosen, or subjective experience of gender identity. Under these new definitions, trans women are men, trans men are women. There is no other interpretation of these definitions.
Finally, an end to all this gender
nonsense. Subscribe. There you go, Matt Walsh. It was that easy. You didn't have to make an entire fucking movie about it. It's worth mentioning before I go on that defining a man or a woman legally as just their specific reproductive role is disgusting. It also doesn't make sense practically. How could you ever enforce any of this? Try to think of a way of enforcing these rules that isn't absurd or fascist. Do I have to do a karyotype every time I enter a bathroom? Or do I have to have a legal ID tag that verifies, yes, these are my chromosomes? In reality, if this bill passed, organizations would be able to discriminate against women based on their appearance. You can't just tell if someone is cis or trans by just looking at them.
We can always tell.
Gender non-conforming cis women in the UK are reporting increased incidents of having their presence in women's bathrooms and changing rooms challenged since the country's anti-trans Supreme Court ruling earlier this year. So no, you can't always tell. If you're a trans person, or frankly anyone with a sound mind who's worried about this bill, don't be. It wasn't introduced by the government. It was introduced by a member of the Nationals. In order for a bill to pass the lower house, they have to get a majority of seats. If you look at the current composition of the lower house, it's all Labour. Look at this map. At the 2025 election, Labour won 94 seats out of 150. That's the highest number of seats ever won by a single political party. 94 is also the highest number of seats any government has ever won in Australian history. Unlike with most parties, if you're a member of the ALP, you have to vote with the party. It's a rule of the caucus. Before Fatima Payman, the last time a Labour member crossed the floor was the year I was born, so it doesn't happen very often. So if this amendment is dead in the water, why did they even try? I think we're witnessing the last dying breath of the coalition. This bill was a reaction to the outcome of the Tickle v. Giggle case. The federal court ruled that the exclusion of a transgender woman from a female-only app constituted unlawful gender identity discrimination. This case is a big deal, as it sets the precedence for future legal cases of a similar nature. Since this ruling, opposition leader Angus Taylor has decided that this is the hill that he wants to die on, as has leader of the Nationals Matt Canavan.
Better get a caravan, and you better upgrade it now if you know what's good for you.
Obviously, this legislation isn't going anywhere, and politically it makes no sense. This isn't going to win over teal voters who are too embarrassed to vote for a party that regularly pulls stunts like this, which, between them and Labour, is where the Libs are losing most of their seats to. It really shows a lack of political insight from a party that's changed leaders thrice since the last election. You'd really think that at this point, they ditched their nuclear and their Make Australia Great Again, yes, policies, but they haven't. Good, I say. Keep floundering. I hope the opposition continues to have absolutely no idea what they're doing, leaving Labour in power to implement policies that are complicated and boring enough that no one will ever read them, that will change the country entirely over the next half century. Once again, I'm tired of winning.